Broadcasting live from SETI Alpha 6 in the Andromeda Galaxy, this is Mr. C.
Well, happy Tuesday to you. And anyway, I don't know if I told you yesterday. Not quite sure that I did. I don't think I did. Just a story on the Super Bowl of Rugby League. But Penrith came up one try short and lost 26-20 to the sadness of Sydney fans. So anyway, they were close and they almost ran it back on the last play to tie it up. So it was apparently quite exciting, the match. So there's always next year. So Mr. C, that's what they always say. Well, it's hopeful. So very hopeful. Hey, look, I've got a sweatshirt on today, a hooded sweatshirt. How come? Listen to this. Tonight's low is going to be in the 40s. Wow. Today's high was not supposed to get much beyond 60. Now listen to this. That's a full 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 degrees Fahrenheit below the high temperatures we were getting 6-7 weeks ago. This is what we've been waiting for. This is like a Midwestern fall day, like in Michigan or Wisconsin or Iowa or where I grew up in South Dakota or North Dakota. So anyway, we have been waiting for this. So thank you, Lord. Now, you've got your textbook out. We're going to look at a few things in your textbook, so your textbook's out. I know you've already got your homework and your lesson planner. Mr. Gilbert's already shown you RenWeb. I want you to review Lesson Summary 7. Lesson Summary 7. So I want you to review it to the max. I want you to review Psalm 139, 13, and 14, which exactly has to do with cell division and what we're studying. I already told you that in your mom's womb, it was cell division that brought you from one cell to the trillions that your body is made of. So in 9 months, a God thing. It could have never evolved, just so amazing. Cell division, cell division, cell division, 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 division. Cell division, which we shall get to in a little bit. On your white sheet, if you number to, why don't you start with 5? Number to 5 on your white sheet. Okay. You've got your homework sheet out. This right here, let's see, what is it? 63D. So you've got it out, and you've got your heart cancer bullet facts on the back, I trust. Anyway, we're going to go over this in a little bit. So you need a red pen, right? Red pen. So out that red pen comes. Other pens and pencils may be out until I call for them to be stowed, aka put away. So first, I wanted to ask you a few questions from lesson summary number 7. Now, you can't look. Just see if you can get these. It is not a quiz. It's not a pop quiz. So, or not a not-so-pop quiz. Just see how you can do on these. Number 1, what's the name for cell division? Little hint, it rhymes with it. So number 1 on your white sheet, just look at your own paper. 2, 3, and 4, what are the 3 reasons cells divide? There's 3 reasons. And my teaching help was GRR for GRR. A G word, an R word, and an R word. So the 3 reasons that cells divide. One of these 3. And then number 5, what do we call the regular cell division that occurs where, and we're not talking about, which I'll get to in a little bit, a sperm and an egg combining to make a zygote and then making a new organism, like any mammal or bird or fish, amphibian or reptile, the vertebrates, or a human. So not animals, right? Humans, not animals. So what do we call that? Regular cell division. There's a name for it. I just gave you a little hint. Some of you had your head down. Sorry about that. Just once. I'm only going to give you one hint. Number 6. What do we call whenever cells divide? Now you've got 2. What's the name for these? Start with 1. Now you've got 2. They divided. What do you call these? What kind of cells? Name for it? That is number 6. And then number 7, when cells divide, the genetic material, the chromosomes, duplicate. There's a name for it. What is it called? It's number 7. Number 8, what's the official name of the genetic material that contains incredible amounts of DNA that makes a living thing become whatever it is, like a robin? So it's robin DNA, and it causes the first cell to turn into a robin, or an alligator, the first cell of an alligator to turn into an alligator. It is the genetic material, the DNA. And what's the specific name for these chain-like genetic material that pair up? They always pair up. And they duplicate and go to each of the 2 cells. So I want to know what's kind of the official name for these genetic chains that are just packed with DNA. It's number 8. And I'll stop there. So, and then I've got to teach you a few things. Okay, let's see how you did. Red pens. Not a grade, but let's see how you did. Cell division is called fission. Cell division, you've got fission. Fission. 2, 3, and 4, the 3 reasons that cells divide. Why do they do it? Grrr. G for growth. Like right now, your cells are dividing and dividing and dividing as you grow into an adult. So growth. And then you've got R for repair. I told you about my owies that are healing by cell division. The cells are dividing and dividing and dividing new cells and filling in the gap where I was cut and producing a healed up owie. Okay? And then the last R stands for reproduction. Reproduction. That would be like you have a sperm and an egg, which makes a zygote, sperm, egg, zygote, and it turns into a kangaroo because it's got kangaroo DNA, or it turns into a godwit, like that bird that flies to New Zealand from Alaska, because it's godwit DNA. So each living thing has its own DNA pattern, which so had to be designed. DNA was designed. It's like the ultimate design. You just go, hey, do you think there could possibly be a God who designed? How about DNA? That shuts down all arguments. It's so complex. You can't get much more complex than that unless you consider the whole organism. Just go, DNA, baby. And you got the ultimate argument for a God right there. And evolutionists can't argue about it. They go, if you ask them, hey, do you really think DNA evolved? There's a geneticist, genetics is his specialty, And he says, nobody I know, no colleague I have in genetics believes DNA evolved. Now, they can't say that, or they might lose their job or lose their teaching position at a university. So they can't admit it. But he said, the best kept secret is no geneticist I know believes that DNA evolved. Praise God. So, Lord, you are so amazing. So, anyway, so let's see where I am. So that was grow, reproduce, and repair. So that's 2 through 4. Number 5, regular cell division is called the cell cycle. Cell cycle, from the word circle, which keeps going, keeps happening. Cells keep dividing and dividing and dividing. The cell cycle. That's number 5. Number 6, what do you call it when cells divide? Boop, boop. What do you call these two kind of cells? Daughter cells. They're on LS7. You'll see it in a minute when we cover it. Daughter cells. Cell division. Now you've got 2 daughter cells. So, cool. And then, what do you call the fact that DNA reproduces itself and then ends up, the exact DNA pattern ends up in the daughter cells? The same DNA. What do you call it? It's called replication. I might have mentioned it. I might not have. I think I did. So that's number 7. Okay. And then number 8, what do you call the chains of DNA? Just pack, just chocker block, as they say in Australia, or chockers. That means just packed. Chockers with DNA. So what do you call these DNA chains? Chromosomes. You have 46. I have 46. Humans have 46 chromosomes. That's the correct human chromosome number. Other organisms or living things have their own chromosome number. All right, I want to take a little break really quick with Mr. Gilbert. He'll answer any questions that you might have, clarify anything, and then I'll be right back. See ya in a minute. And I'm back. So here's what I'd like to do now. I'd like to grade 63D. So red pens out, other pens, pencils away. Away they go. Okay. Now each one of these is worth half. I'm going to throw in a half, so it'll be worth 7 points. Do you get that? So there's 13, so that's 6.5. And then I'll throw in a half, number 14. That's a freebie. So it's worth 7 points. You automatically get number 14. Woohoo! So, little favors. Okay, here's number 1. Prophase. What happens? And it's chromatome. I misspoke. Chromatin condenses is what happens. Chromatin condenses. You've got to have both those words or it's minus a half. So number 2, it's called metaphase. It's where the chromosomes attach to spindle fibers. Mr. C, my head is going to explode if I have to know all these terms for Friday's test. Do I? No, you don't. But I wanted you to deal with them on this worksheet. All right, number 3, anaphase is where the chromatids separate. You've got to have that. Chromatids separate or it's minus half. Do I have to have both words? Yes. Number 4, where you get new nuclear envelopes that form. That would be telophase. So number 4, telophase. Now if you missed something of this at the end, Mr. Gilbert will help you out. Number 5, which stage of the cell cycle usually lasts the longest? It's interphase. Interphase. Half a point. Number 6, during which stage of the cell cycle does DNA replication occur? Same stage, interphase. So 5 and 6, interphase. Number 7, during which stage of the cell cycle does the cell membrane pinch the cell into 2? Cytokinesis. Cytokinesis. Do we have to know it on the test? No. But you've got to have it down to get half a point. All right, number 8. Interphase would be B, the first stage of the cell cycle. Number 8, B as in Bravo. Number 9, mitosis. That would be the stage of the cell cycle during which the cell's nucleus divides. So number 9 is D as in Delta for mitosis. Number 10, the cell cycle. That would be the regular sequence of growth and division that cells undergo. So that would be A as in alpha. Number 10, A as in alpha. Number 11, cytokinesis is F as in foxtrot. Final stage of the cell cycle. Number 11, foxtrot. Number 12, replication, it says, the process in which DNA is copied. Replication. Do you have to know that on the test? Yes. C as in Charlie for number 12. 13, E as in echo for chromosome. Doubled rod of condensed chromatin. So they're like rods or chains, kind of chains. So 13, E as in echo, and 14's a freebie. All right, now here's the way this is going to work. I'm treating this like a worksheet. Now, you can miss up to 2 whole points or 4 halves. 4 halves reduced to. So you can miss up to 4 points. Said it incorrectly. 2 points or 4 halves. And that would give you a 5 out of 5. So if you had 4 wrong or less, you can get, it's kind of like a bonus points in the grade book. So you can get 5 out of 5. Or if you miss 3, you get 5.5 out of 5.5. Or if you miss just 2, you can get 6 out of 6. Or if you miss just 1, you can get 6.5 out of 6.5. Same numerator, denominator. Or if you miss none, 7 out of 7. So did you get that? Mr. Gilbert or help if you weren't quite sure. I'll review it one more time. If you miss 4 or less, you can get these bonus points. Let's say you missed 4 of these halves. So you get 5 out of 5. Let's say you only missed 3. You get 5.5 out of 5.5. Let's say you just missed 2. You get 6 out of 6. Let's say you just missed 1. You get 6.5 over 6.5. Put the number you missed at the top. Let's say you missed 0. You can put 7 out of 7 at the top. Make sure your name, date, period is in the upper right-hand corner and turn that in. In it comes. Okay? So in it comes. All right. Now, you've got out, right? You should have out LS7. So have it out, have a highlighter, get ready to highlight, or a pen. I don't care. I'm going to tell you what to circle, what you've got to study tonight for your homework, what you've got to know. Okay, I showed you that video yesterday at the end of my video, that little 1-minute video on cell division. Why did I show that to you? Mr. C, the narration was over the top. It sounded like a doctor talking. I know. It was a professor or a scientist talking, using big, fat science professor words, like in a college class, a university class, like in biology in university. Yep. So why did you show us that? My head was going to explode. Well, what did I want to show you about the cell division process? It's really complex. It really glorifies God. It really had to be designed and created by God. It would never form accidentally by itself. It's just too complicated. And the same thing about dealing in your book with all this stuff. You know, Mr. C, my head was exploding on all of this. Starting on these pages. Have a look. On these pages right here. Good grief, that is complex. I know. You know, you get all these stages. You get interphase, mitosis, and then you get cytokinesis, and then they have different parts or components. So now in high school, you're probably going to have to learn these, memorize them. Definitely in university biology, definitely. Okay, but not you. But I wanted you to see that there's a whole lot more to it than the surface terms I'm having you learn. So don't complain. I've got to learn replication, and I've got to learn the cell cycle. So here's a Kleenex. Okay, so it's not that hard what I'm having you learn. So I'm having you learn the important stuff that an 8th grader ought to learn. So, by the way, there are some 8th grade teachers that would have you memorize this stuff. Now, here's a little secret. You know another reason I don't have you learn this stuff? Because you would just forget about it. In 1 week. You wouldn't remember anymore. And you shouldn't have to right now. Don't remember I said this. Okay? Our little secret. Okay? Anyhow. Okay. You ready to highlight a few things? On LS7, here's what you've got to know. See at the top, I've got fission up there. Cell division is fission. And then in the top box, you've got to know cell division, and then, if you've got a highlighter, allows organisms to grow, repair, damage structure, and reproduce. The GR. I'd write right above that, GR, right above cell division. That's what I'd write. And then right down here, I would put this, see that right there? I'd highlight that. Most organisms reproduce when specialized cells from 2 different parents combine. And I want you to write these down right now. When a sperm combines with an egg cell, you get a zygote, Z-Y-G-O-T-E. So sperm plus egg, and that equals a zygote, Z-Y-G-O-T-E. Did you put that down maybe right underneath here? Sperm cell plus egg cell gives you a zygote. That happens with vertebrates. Fish, amphibians, reptiles, mammals, and birds, and humans in reproduction. Okay? All right, during the cell cycle, middle box, you have circled cell cycle. During the cell cycle, a cell grows, prepares for division, and divides into 2 new cells. And they're called daughter cells. So right there, highlight daughter cells. See that? Daughter cells. So you've highlighted that. You've got to know that. Okay? And then over here where it says a cell makes an exact copy of DNA, right there. What is that called? Replication. Replication right there. Replication right there. So highlight the word replication, and it's making a copy of DNA. So you've got to know that. Now, what are the 2 identical sets of DNA called? They organize themselves into pairs of rods or like chain-like bodies. They're called chromosomes, right there. And put above that 46. Put right above chromosomes 46. That's the normal human chromosome number, 46. That's how many you and I have, 46 chromosomes. And then you've got mitosis, right there. Highlight it. And then I drew an arrow over to nucleus. You draw an arrow from mitosis over to nucleus. Draw an arrow over there. And here's the idea. During mitosis, look what it says. The cell's nucleus, the center part, where the DNA is, divides. And the two nuclei split and go to each daughter cell. And now you have an exact copy of DNA, or the chromosomes. So during mitosis, I want you to remember it's MN. Here's your little tip. During mitosis, the nucleus divides into two nuclei. So you've got one nucleus in the center of a cell. It divides, and now you have two that can now go into each daughter cell with a complete own set of DNA or chromosomes. Okay, so you've got that. And then down below, I have what I already told you about, sperm and egg, and now you've got a zygote. Your very first cell in your mom was a zygote. Zygote. So your homework tonight is to review all of this. Review it well. Any chance for a pop quiz tomorrow? Could be. It's Wednesday, a half day. It would fit perfectly into a 28-minute period to have a pop quiz and grade it. Or a not so pop quiz, as the case may be. Okay? So, that's your homework. Review LS7 and Psalm 139, 13, and 14. For you form my inward parts using my DNA that David didn't know about. You knit me together or weave me in my mother's womb. I praise you. I praise you, God. This is such an amazing process. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, me, growing in my mom. And my soul knows it full well. I get it, in other words. David goes, I get it. This is a wonderful process. How in the world did this happen? And we still don't know all the details. We know the basics, but we don't know all the details. So, glory to God for this process. Is it a divine design? You bet, yeah. So, anyway, should you put like cell division or reproduction? You could put GER, really, in the divine design page, in one of your fresh pages. It would be a good place to put it. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Gilbert. He'll answer any questions. And then if time allows, he might allow some people to go do the microscopes, some of you to review a bit, and then switch it up if there's time. I'll let him decide. So take it away. And thank you, Mr. Gilbert.